Hey guys, welcome back to the Golf Club 2019. Now, I'm going to be on the driving range just doing all types of shots, every single type really, and just giving you my thoughts on how the game is, their updates on it, and really just what they could change, what they could add, what they can, you know, just everything about it. So, guess we can get started. What I'll do is just go through the shots first. And right now, to me, the driving is pretty good. There's not really anything they need to fix with it. Before, it was decent as well. I mean, of course, you can fix little minor things here and there, but one thing I do think they need to do for everything is the little blue in the middle of the bottom right perfect circle thing, whatever the hell you want to call that, I don't know. If you're in the blue, I think that needs to be, um, it needs to still be straight, you know. I don't think if you're in the blue and you're just left but still in the blue, it should go, however far left. It needs to stay straight. That just kind of makes sense to me because there's no point in having it if it doesn't do that, you know. If you're in the blue and you're not straight, then there's no point in having that blue there, you know. Or if you're gonna have the blue and you're not gonna have it go straight, then have that blue be only as wide as the little white that your marker is. See right there how it's perfect is gonna go, right where it says it's going to, pretty much. So if you're gonna have the blue there and not have it go straight, if it's still in the blue, then just take it away because you don't need it. That's just my opinion on that. But let's see, we got the woods, which to me, I think work fantastic. They're probably the smoothest club for me to hit. The easiest, I would say. Not the easiest in terms of getting it perfect and having it go, I can't put full loft on it and go perfect and just have it be dead straight. That would be insanely hard anyway. But they're just extremely easy to hit. And that works for me. Because woods aren't, especially off the tee, they're not too hard to hit anyway. In real life, to be honest, woods are probably the second hardest thing for me to get right. Driver is the easiest, and a lot of people, that's the opposite. Their woods are some of the easiest, and the driver is the hardest. For most people, the driver is the hardest. Either that or long irons. But on the game, the woods work perfectly. There's nothing really wrong with them, to be honest. Now you got long irons, which work generally fine. Not really too much in the way with the long irons. They work pretty well. They can add a little bit of stopping power to them, I think. The woods are fine with the way they hit and just roll a little bit. They're gonna. But, I hit my 4 hybrid, 5 iron, 6 iron. They stop a decent, if it's downhill or about even, and I hit my 5 iron or 6 iron, 4 iron, it's going to hit. And on the green, that's about as far as it's going to roll. Maybe a little bit longer if, it has some spin on it. But in the game, if you have one of those, you have a 5 iron, 6 iron, 4 hybrid, and you hit it, and it hits that green, it's rolling about 30 feet. and that's kind of insane for a iron, even a long iron, to roll that much. It really is. Um, Even like really good players, the amateurs up in, the web.com and the pros on the PGA Tour, they stop the long irons. They can even stop a wood pretty close if they really wanted to. So that's really the only thing I think they could adjust is how they stop on greens, because they really don't at all. And then you got your mid short irons, so you got your 7, 8, 9, which, to be honest, right now they work damn good. They're pretty perfect in terms of what they do. They do roll a little bit, but most things in the game I've noticed have a lot of roll to them. Oh, I hit that. That was perfect. Um, but if you want to add loft to them or de-loft them, they stop pretty well. They really do. You add loft to this 8 iron, yes, it's going to get a little harder to hit. I just pulled that. But, bam, it stops pretty well. You de-loft it a little bit, or a lot, however you want to do it. And it's going to run a little bit more, go a little further, like that one did, because it's not as high in the air. So they do a really good job with the mid-short irons. And you got the wedges, which I think they have done pretty well on. I do think that for a pitching gap sand loft wedge, I don't think that they sit and spin back like they should. It does right here in the fairway, of course, it's not going to have very much spin at all. Alright, it's going to have a lot of spin, but it's not going to come back in the fairway. But on the greens, if you hit a wedge and, you're not worried about the wind or the height difference, whether it's uphill, downhill, whatever, they'll hit, but they really don't spin backwards. They'll sit, unless it's downhill, then it'll come backwards. They just sit at all, they just sit. You have to put loft on them for them to come back or spin forward. Like I said, unless it hits on a certain slope. I think they could adjust that a little bit, especially for loft and sand wedge. They need to hit, and unless, again, you hit on a down slope, they need to hit and come back at least a few feet. Because that's what wedges do, I'm not really a great player. I'm okay. I can't spin it too much, but my sand wedge, loft wedge, pitching wedge, I hit them, and usually they will spin back a little bit, And I'm not, like I said, I'm not great. I won't talk about the punches because I really don't play them at all in the game. Mostly because I haven't been in trees too much, thankfully. Or if I am, I can just get right out. But just going on this practice on the range right here, they seem to actually work really well. They go a pretty good. They seem to go a really good height. You have it right there. We'll play a little fade on it, and it worked really well. And actually, that's one shot I can do in real life: a punch fade or a punch draw. So I won't talk too much about that, but the pitches. Let's go for actual, pitching wedge pitch. Those have been the most improved in this entire game. When you started out, these pitches were horrible, and I mean bad. When you started out in this game, and you didn't even have to put loft or de-loft it, but if you did, and you hit it, let's just, let me show you real quick. Let's say you hit it, well, that was perfect. I tried to hit it fast, but let's say you hit it fast, or maybe you hit it a little slow. Like this. You hit it very slow. Now this only went about 3 or 4 yards right. That's fine, I'm not going to ever hit this one fast, only about a yard or two left. And I'm not going to miss hit a pitch, and have it. I'm not going to have a pitch I want to aim straight go like this, or further left, really further than that. But in the start of this game, that's how your pitches would be if you were just a little bit slow or fast. Your pitches would go about 10 yards left or right. And it would be short, again, around 10 yards, which didn't make any sense. No shot I've ever hit has done that, which they have fixed, and I praise them on that. They fixed it. The pitches work perfect now, and I actually really like to use them. Before, I would avoid it at all costs. So, and that's really it about the pitches. Because they fixed them, there's not, bam, carry this over to the next game, how you've done the pitches, And so we got see this pitch right here. Let's go for the 50-yarder. We're going to put some loft on this. The wind is, helping us with that. And bam, a little past it, so we could have put a little more loft, but pitches work. Now, if you go with a flop shot. Now, you know what? Actually, before we do anything, let's go to the putting green really quick. Or sorry, I meant the chipping green. To show off the. Well, actually, yeah. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's show off the pitches. Now we're in heavy rough, so I'm going to de-loft this a little bit. Hit it a touch fast, but that should be fine. And it's going to give you some roll. That worked out perfectly. I'm 7 feet from the hole, Oh, so we just do random shots. I didn't know that. Alright, so anyway, pitches are perfect right now. They don't need to change it. They need to add that to their next game. Flops. They had flops doing almost the same thing, but at least for me, flops were a lot easier to hit. But that was a perfect flop right there. Now, I think, again, the flops work great. They work almost perfect. Almost perfect to me. I think the only thing they can do with the flops really is, let's say you have to get over you have to get over a little hill or something like that. And this is something every single golf game I've ever played has struggled with, and that's the height of certain shots. Now, of course, you can't, go as high as you want. But with a flop shot, you should be able to go a good height to be able to get over most things. Now, in a lot of golf games, they really, struggle with that. So if you're going to add hills or have it so players can make courses that have hills that even a flop shot cannot get over, you need to either not have that hill or make it so you can get over that. Because just a 10-foot hill, you cannot get over. You can't do it. Depending on how close you are, that is. Now, if you're a little bit away from it, you can just use a loft wedge. Get as much loft as you can, and then bam, loft it over, and you're good. But if you're close to that hill and it's only a 10-foot hill, no matter what you do, you're not getting over that hill. And what they can do is just have it so you can do that, or maybe give you a free drop or something. I think, anyway. Because you should be able to get over, stuff like that. Because right now you can do an unplayable, but, you have to waste a shot. But right now the flops work perfect. Another thing I think they should carry over to the next game. Don't have it like you had it at first. Have it how you have it now. Because again, flops and pitches were something, they had a big update on. And I know that was one of the things they updated because it was fixed in update. So another thing we'll talk about is the chipping. Something again they have improved. It seems like the short game, is that a chicken on the green? A squirrel, okay. I think the short game, the chipping, flops, and pitches, they've just done an amazing job with. They were absolutely horrible when the game first launched, and for about a month after they were. Um, but I believe they fixed them to where, you know what, put it in every game you release, have it like this, or just about, just with minor, fixes here and there where you need them. If you don't need a fix, don't put it in. But if you need a fix, go ahead. Um, but right now you have it where if you put a lot of loft on it, it's gonna sit, it's gonna hit and sit. All right, let's say, let's get to a chip. All right, we're in the heavy rough here. We obviously cannot get to this pin that's closest to us. But if we de-loft it a good bit, go full, it can now run a good bit. Now we still didn't get there, obviously we're in the heavy rough. But you now have the option to, you can de-loft it, or let's say we have this 9-iron chip. Why you would chip that, I don't know. You put all that loft on it. I'm not sure if this actually is going to stop. It stopped well enough for a 9-iron chip. But I guess we can I'll just show you here without a hole. But you put a lot of loft on it, and you'll see how much, and bam, it doesn't go anywhere, and it just kind of sits. So the chip shots work, thank God. They don't really need to fix them if they just add the way it is. I think that would be perfect in their next game, which hopefully they will make, hopefully. And it worked just like I would expect it to. We de-lofted a lot. We're going to have it roll on out there, and it did. Let's go to the putting green really quick. Alright, so let's talk about the putting real quick. Now, the putting itself is fine. It really is. But it does have a lot of flaws as well. Now, you see here we have this 100 and whatever foot putt. Well, we don't have green grid for the first, I don't know, like 70 feet? Or no, it wasn't 100 feet, but yeah, it was about 100 feet. We don't have, look, you don't have green grid in front of you. Why? That makes no sense not to have it in front of you. Now, if you don't want to have it all the way at the hole, that's fine. But if you're not going to have it at the hole, if I zoom in, go behind the hole and stuff like that, you need to have it there. Because we can see in real life, you can see the break from every angle. You can go up midway, see the break right there. You can go up to the hole, see the break right there, go behind it, go to the side. You can do all sorts of stuff, and I think that's something they should really add, is being able to easily go behind the hole, go about halfway, and just check out the break, Just a little addition that would make the game go from good to great, Being able to do stuff you couldn't do in other golf games. Something you can do in real life. One thing that needs to change, I've already touched up on the range, is the little blue thing. Or the little blue thing right in the middle of your circle. And what that in the putting needs to change is you have to hit it dead straight in that blue for it to actually go straight. Again, something where if you're going to have that blue line there, you need to have the ball go straight if it's in that line. If not, again, it makes no sense to have it. Because in the putting, it veers, sometimes it really veers off of 3 to 6 inches sometimes, even if you're still in the blue, just left or right of it, That's something I think should change. It should still go straight if it's in it, so I won't talk too much about it. Otherwise, I think, again, little additions, like being able to see on long putts midway and then at the hole. On all putts, you should be able to see behind it easily. I don't think that you should have to go to this view, then go like this, go all, you shouldn't have to do all that. If you can see the brake right here, then maybe double press triangle, and bam, you have a view from the back. I think that would be a great addition, something like that. Um, but otherwise, putting is fine. It works very well. A couple of times there were parts where you would see the beads and they would be going a good bit left or right. So you put it, about right there from the hole, hit it, not on a 100-foot putt, but on a 5-foot putt, hit it, and it would go the opposite way. That I think is just a little bug that, it'll be ironed out eventually. But it's gonna, there's gonna be bugs, and that's fine. It's not like it's every single putt, it's not every single hole, so that's fine. But otherwise, putting is great. I think those few additions, and I think those two changes should be made that I mentioned, the blue line and the little bug fix. And I think the addition of being able to see mid and behind the hole would be a fantastic addition. So that's it on the putting. Now I'm just going to go ahead and talk a few minutes about what I think they could add to make the game be fantastic. And for that, we're just going to go and hit a few balls, so we'll be right back.
Hello and welcome to the
Alright guys, so we're just going to talk about real quick while we play the back nine of Sawgrass, what I think they can add to the game to just make it a fantastic game. And I'm going to start with something that really, only they have, that is great, and that's the society events. I think it's fantastic what they've done with it. And the only thing I think that can make it better is the addition of anybody you're playing with, instead of just having their ball and seeing where that goes, actually having them there. I understand why they wouldn't put that in, it'd be a pain probably, but I think an addition of that would just be fantastic and would be very welcome. Not to just see the ball, but to have the actual person. But that's really it on the society events. Otherwise, it's fantastic. Now with the PGA Tour event, or the career mode, if you will, I think a couple things do need to change, and that is how it's played, or not how it's played, how the difficulty seems to just vary a lot. Now, when I say that, the first third of my PGA Tour career was fantastic. It was hard enough where I wasn't winning every event, but it was easy enough to where I won 1 or 2 out of 7 or 8, however many it is, but then towards the middle of it, it started, the opponent started to get, in 2 rounds, they would go minus 18, minus 20 with winds that were 12 to 15 miles an hour, and it was just insane. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get more than minus 5, And
the tee shots looking
And I think it's fine to have certain tournaments where the wind's high, where people are scoring high, but you can't have both because that's super unrealistic. You don't go to, you don't go overseas, play in those tournaments, have the winds at 25 miles an hour, and the pros are, scoring minus 18. That's just insane. It doesn't happen, never has, I don't think. And that's something they need to change. When you're at those courses in those tournaments, have the wind high, but don't have the scores be insanely high, And then when you're on some of the easier tournaments, on Sawgrass, you can have them scoring really high, but have the winds low, If you do that, manage every tournament instead of just have it completely random, which seems like is how it is. It seems like the tournament's conditions and everything are just completely random, and it's just odd.
Okay, let's see what
They
you can
need
do with this
to
8-footer.
manage each one and have it kind of
Great
realistic,
putt
you
in
know.
there for the par.
I think that would be fantastic
And after that one, you'll
because it
stay
just
where
made
you
it so
are.
that I hated playing,
Par
you
4
know,
here. Let's have a nice
10
clean
tournaments in a
drive.
row, and it just wasn't fun. But I think if they fix that in the career mode, it'd be fantastic. Another thing is the rivalries don't do anything. They give you $50.
There we go. That's looking good.
It doesn't matter at all. I think they need to either take it away completely or just add something completely different to it. They need to change that one up to make it more fun. Maybe you're playing with your opponent, you know, you're directly against them. Your rivalries can be those match play tournaments that they have in real life, you know. Those are awesome, and I wish they would have that in the game. Maybe that could be the rivalry instead of having it be just that dumb little, oh, this person did this in that tournament, and you know you beat them with 43 points and they had 12,
And this
you
putt
know,
for
like
the
it
birdie.
usually is. Add match play tournaments instead of the rivalries. That would be awesome. Just take the rivalries completely out and put in match play. That would be awesome. Another
Awesome.
thing they can do to make the
And
game
after
even
that
better,
one, you'll go down to 1 under par.
solid objects such as rocks
13th hole coming up.
and walls that are wooden, covering water and stuff like that, make it solid. A couple walls that I've hit and rocks that I've gone through that really just made me incredibly mad because, you know, that's 2 shots right there because I went in the water.
This is looking good.
And really shouldn't have. You know, I shouldn't have went in the water because that wall
Putting
should have
from around
stopped me,
16 feet
or
out.
I should have hit that rock and not gone OB or something like that, you know. Make them solid. Make the spectators solid as well. Don't make them, they look exactly like a mannequin. And that is kind of odd to me. Why would you add a gallery in there? Have them be complete.
this
You
next
can
putt
go
for
through them.
the
You know,
par.
your ball doesn't hit them and stop or anything like that.
Well done.
And they're all bald, or
Okay,
you know,
1 under
they
for the
have that
round.
shaved head look, and they're all
Okay, let's see
incredibly
what happens
pale.
here on this
You know, they're
par
the exact
4.
same thing.
Let's
Have
go
some
ahead and
variety
drop
in
this
there.
one
Have
into
them
the
be
fairway and take it from
solid.
there.
You know. Please just do that, because it's otherwise don't have a crowd because they don't do anything. They're just there then to just to have something there to make it not feel so boring. Because if the crowd's
Nice.
not there, it's gonna be that. You're just gonna
Okay,
play
about
and be like, man, this is
185 yards
boring.
left to
you
go
know.
here.
And another thing I think they could add to make the game, like I said, go from good to great or even fantastic for me at
This
least,
could be dirty.
is the addition of some attributes. You know,
I'll
if
tell you what, everybody ends up here sometimes.
if
Take
they
this,
add
as
stuff
a learning
that
opportunity.
you know, you can't max out on anything. You get a certain amount of attributes that you can win throughout your career, and you can use them on not certain things, but you can use them on stuff to make you, you know, get better.
Nice job out of that bunker. 9-footer here.
But
Let's see what you can do.
again, you cannot get enough to max out. You can only get enough to be really good in a certain
Solid
area.
stroke there.
You'll be
Good job.
okay in another area, really good in a certain, you know,
Alright,
like it
you're
is in
gonna
real life,
stick
you know.
right there,
I'm
1 under
great at
after that.
driving the ball. I'm not so good with my
15th hole
woods.
coming up.
I'm not so good with my long irons. I'm fantastic with my mid to short irons, you know. I'm good at putting, but I am
nice
not
looking
so
shot.
good at
Well, after my rather hopeful prediction, we ended up in the same.
what is it? Oh, I'm good at putting, but I'm not good at fading or drawing the ball. You know, I can only draw the ball, you know, with 1 or 2 clubs. And, you know, that's something I think would be fantastic if they would add. Because, like, the Tiger Woods games, you could max out, you know, with everything just about. You could almost max out, or you could just play Tiger Woods and be maxed, you know. So do that. You know, put them in there. Have it so that you only win them with those match play tournaments. You know, you can only win attributes during match plays. You can, and you only win a certain
that's
amount
tough.
depending on how. If you beat them by one shot, then you get a certain amount of
Well,
attributes.
you could have had
If
a
you
birdie
beat
there.
them
I think
by
you know that. But
8
next
holes
time,
or one hole, you know,
those
8
ones will
holes,
drop.
then you're gonna get a
Okay,
lot
we're
more
under the
because
round.
you've already, you know, you're already great
Okay.
then.
Par 5.
You know, the match play should be difficult because you're going against other pros, you know. And I think that would just be a fantastic addition.
Wow.
And hopefully now that they're,
stuff, my friend.
you know, sponsored by 2K or published by 2K, I should say, they'll
Okay,
get
we're about,
more
200 yards
sponsors.
out here.
TaylorMade, Callaway, Titleist, FootJoy, Cobra, stuff like that. Because right now it's just stupid. Those items you unlock, there's shirts and stuff like that. Most of them are hideous, and it does not matter unlocking them one bit.
Here on this one.
So they need to really
Good
add
stuff.
some good stuff in there, because right now whenever you level up and you win something, it sucks. It just does.
Nice putt.
It's
dropping that in there
absolutely
for the eagle.
horrible. It's just
He's
some
brought
money
things down to
that
3
doesn't
under
matter
after
and
that
some
one.
clothes that is hideous.
17th hole coming up.
But out of everything that can change, I think if they would just do those, you know, don't go overboard with it. Don't hardly change anything where you don't notice, you know. I think they can do really well. Because right now, if I were to give a rating on this game, the game is good. You know, it's that
5-footer here, nothing too bad.
6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 thing. You know, it's good. But
That'll work. For
you know, the game could be an 8 or a 9 out of
That'll
10,
leave
you know,
right
with
there.
it'd be a
at
lot of
3
work to get a
under
10
par.
out of 10 for me, but
Hole number 18.
it can be that way if you just change those little things or add some stuff to it, because right now it's a pretty bland game, you know. I'll play my first
Nice
career
looking
mode
shot.
and then be like, whoa, it's the only golf game out there that's kind of realistic, so I'm just going to play another
All right,
career mode.
looking
And
at
that's the only
150
reason
yards-ish.
I would play another career mode, you know. Because they have, like, everybody's golf is out, and I could just go play that if I want to play a fun golf game, you know. Because right now it's not that fun unless you're playing with somebody. And they don't have that, oh, this game is fun element. And I think if you added all that, added something to work for, you know, it can really change it. And that's kind of just my thoughts, my little review on the game. I hope you enjoyed
See
it.
if we can save par here.
Again,
That would be
it's a
nice.
good game. It could be a great game. And I'll just end it with
Solid
that.
putt. We're in
Hope
the
you enjoyed
hole.
it. Have a great day. And bye.
3 under at the end of the round. Not bad. Well, thanks a lot for